Imagine a single piece of cloth, a 14-foot linen that has baffled scientists, historians, and theologians for centuries. Some call it a medieval fake. Others say it's the most important artifact in human history, the burial shroud of Jesus of Nazareth. In August 2025, a team of scientists looked at the shroud under ultraviolet light and saw something no one had noticed before: faint, glowing halos around the bloodstains, invisible to the naked eye. These halos were made of serum, the clear yellowish fluid that separates from blood when it clots. And they told a story that just might confirm the crucifixion, death, and burial of Jesus, exactly as the Gospels describe. This isn't clickbait. This is the result of cutting-edge imaging, centuries of intrigue, and a mystery that refuses to die. And if what they found is true, the implications stretch from ancient Jerusalem to your life today. Stay with me until the end, because what we're about to uncover might change the way you see the resurrection forever. The Shroud of Turin is a single sheet of herringbone weave linen, about 14 feet long and 3.5 feet wide, bearing the faint image of a man. His wounds match those described in the Gospel accounts of Jesus' crucifixion: nail marks in the wrists and feet, a side wound consistent with John 19:34. One of the soldiers pierced Jesus' side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. Head wounds match the crown of thorns described in Matthew 27:29. Over the centuries, scientists have tried to explain how the image got there. Was it painted, burned, miraculously imprinted at the moment of resurrection? The debate rages on. But this year's discovery added a brand new layer to the mystery. In June 2025, researchers from Italy and France used high-resolution ultraviolet photography to re-examine the bloodstains. This method can detect materials invisible under normal light. They found serum halos around many of the wounds. These halos appear when blood clots and the liquid serum leaks out, something that happens when a body has been injured and then remains still after death. Why is this important? Because the presence of these halos means the blood is not paint. It's real human blood. The body wrapped in the shroud was buried quickly after death, and the body was not washed before burial. That last point is especially intriguing. According to Jewish law in the 1st century, those who died violently, executed, murdered, or killed in battle were buried without washing the body. This was seen as preserving the dignity of the victim, leaving the evidence of their death intact before God. This lines up exactly with Deuteronomy 21:22 through 23, which states, "Anyone who is hung on a tree is under God's curse. You must not leave the body hanging on the tree overnight. Be sure to bury it that same day." In other words, the body in the shroud shows the exact burial conditions described in the law of Moses and in the Gospel accounts of Jesus. The Gospels are clear. Jesus died around the 9th hour, 3 p.m. Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy council member and secret follower of Jesus, requested his body from Pilate. Mark 15:43. The burial had to happen quickly before sundown, when the Sabbath began. Luke 23:54-55. In John 19:40 we read, "Taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it, with the spices, in strips of linen." This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. The shroud fits this perfectly. It's large enough to wrap over the head, down the front, under the feet, and back up over the body, exactly how Jewish burials were done in the 1st century. But the serum halos tell us something else. the body was not left for days to decay. Something happened, and fast. The image itself, still unexplained, was likely formed within hours to a couple of days after burial. The shroud's documented history begins in the 14th century in Lille, France. From there, it was moved to Chambéry, survived a devastating fire in 1532, and was eventually brought to Turin, Italy, where it resides today in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. Skeptics point to radiocarbon dating done in 1988, which suggested the cloth dated between 1260 and 1390 AD. But later studies argued that the sample tested came from a medieval repair patch, not the original linen. Since then, pollen analysis, textile studies, and now this 2025 ultraviolet study have given fresh arguments that the shroud could indeed be ancient, possibly from the time of Christ. Critics will say, it's just a relic for the faithful, not real evidence. And yes, science hasn't proven it's the burial shroud of Jesus. But this new serum halo evidence is hard to fake. Medieval forgers wouldn't have known about serum separation patterns. The science to detect them didn't exist until centuries later. If this is a forgery, it's a masterpiece of biological accuracy far beyond the knowledge of the Middle Ages. If it's authentic, then we are looking at the silent witness to the most important event in human history: the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Artifacts like the shroud are not meant to replace faith, but they can encourage it. As Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." The shroud may be the closest physical link we have to the crucifixion and resurrection, an artifact that carries the story told in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John right into our modern age. Whether you believe it's authentic or not, you have to wrestle with the fact that this piece of linen, and the man it wrapped, has changed the course of history. So here's the question: if the shroud truly holds the image of Jesus at the moment of resurrection, what does that mean for you? If you found this fascinating, hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe for more discoveries that connect the Bible to our world today. And in the comments, tell me, do you think the Shroud of Turin is authentic?